I am pitching coach at Penn State. I'm going into my 4th season. And the 2 presentations I'm doing today are probably my favorite. So yesterday was really cool. We had a lot of good questions come up. This is one of the things I think is kind of maybe for you guys that are talking about managing pitchers, this is something that's kind of hard. Maybe you don't know what to be doing and when. So this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. I think we're constantly as pitching coaches or regular coaches or whatever we are, we're trying to kind of evolve to whatever these girls need. And depending on the level, this is something I think you can apply pretty easily. So how many high school or middle school coaches do we have? And then everybody travel ball? Okay. So I'm going to show you what we do, and then you can modify up and down based on kind of where you're at. That's kind of how I did my talks yesterday. So anytime if you have questions, just stop me. I tend to talk fast, but I'll try to go a little slower. For us, what we talk about, and again, I'll talk about the travel ball side of it as best I know. We have summer, we have 2 parts of fall, we have winter, and then we have spring. And spring for us can be 3 different seasons. So hopefully we're going into a postseason. So how it would work is you have your preseason where you're playing tournaments, you have your actual Big Ten conference schedule, which is just kind of grueling because you're playing teams over and over. And then you have your postseason, which you would manage a little bit differently because you would only play on the weekends, and they kind of go different ways. So when we think about summer for a travel ball, it's a totally different cycle. Some of you guys play all week, every week, and it's just like nonstop. So once I get to the summer stuff, I'll tell you what I used to do when I broke that down. For the fall for us, again, once we get there, we'll kind of talk about, but the fall college is a little different. You play 8 games roughly. And they can be against Division I teams, they can be against Division II, they can be NAI, it can be anything. You could play an alumni game and that kind of counts. So our fall is a little different in that right when they come in, we're trying to prepare them to kind of get through that season. And then we kind of spend time breaking them down. Because we do get probably a little more time with them than you guys do, but not that much. So going straight into the summer, to me, it's about keeping them in shape. Our girls, if we end our season in May at some point, they're pretty much given from me a packet, and I have one with me to show you guys so you kind of know what we do, but I give them about a month off. I want them to take 4 weeks, don't touch a ball, don't look at it, like just go be a kid, go swimming, go to the beach, do whatever you do in the northeast in the summer, I don't know. To me, it's like, I just don't think you need to be throwing all the time. I think time off is everything, and I'll say this in probably every speech that I did today and yesterday, is like time off is better for them than just pitching a pitch. On the flip side, if they like to pitch a lot, it's okay to pick up a ball, but maybe finding different ways to do things. Like maybe it's not this crazy workout where you're doing all these different things. Maybe it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna throw today and kind of have a good time with it and just feel what my body feels and then be done. So we have focus things, we give them overall goals. We kind of try to keep their eyes on the prize, but for us, that's so far away. Summer is like, it feels like it's forever away. And then just letting them be kids. On the flip side, for you guys, I think summer is so hard to manage because you got kids that are traveling on a Thursday, so maybe they're traveling really far, they're not traveling that far, you got them really sleepy. These girls love to sleep, you got to get them up early for an 8 a.m. game, they play until midnight, you got to turn around and do that again. It can be really, really grueling for them. Do they bounce back pretty quick? Yes, but they still, sleep is everything. Another good book is, it's called Why We Sleep. It's amazing. For you guys like books. But it just talks about like at that age, sleep is more important than getting the practice in. So for us, like in the summer when we had our travel team, I did 18U one year and 16U one year, and aged rapidly. And to me, the biggest thing was not throwing them too much during the week. So when we had a practice, it wasn't like, okay, let's get 180 pitches in, let's do all these things, let's do live. It might be for me, in those weeks, let's say you're playing on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're gonna travel Thursday. So maybe Thursday you don't throw. You know, okay, you're just gonna take that day off. That's like rest, you'll be throwing a lot this weekend. So I would say Thursday is a rest day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday you play, Monday is a rest recovery day. So for us, that might be you're going to get in the hot and cold tubs and go back and forth. You're going to ice or you're going to stretch. It's no pitching, nothing like that. Tuesday to me would be kind of your medium rep day. So for us, again, that would look like maybe like 75 pitches on top of your warm up. Something that is focused and you're working on things, but you're not necessarily like doing a workout I showed you guys yesterday or something that's kind of like more endurance. Wednesday, I would say, is your heavier day. If you want to get maybe 100, 125 pitches in, depending on your pitchers. And then I would say, again, you go into that Thursday, you take a break, and you kind of go from there. And then every pitcher is different. If you have a kid who, say you have a kid who maybe has poor mechanics, or maybe not as strong mechanics as someone else, that's where you got to watch, because I think you see the breakdown in kids mainly once you hit that fatigue level. Okay, so once they're throwing all those games and you're like game 5 of the weekend and they've thrown every inning, and you start to see that like leaning and kind of what Amanda Freed was talking about yesterday, if anybody went, like you start to see that breakdown of like trying to do things instead of just letting it happen. And pitching isn't a natural motion, but it shouldn't feel forced. So that's something that I really do want in the, for our kids in the summer, it's really different. High school, I would assume you guys, high school people, when do you guys start roughly, like practice?
Officially?
No.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, officially first week in March.
Oh, okay.
Officially, but yeah, now.
Okay, all right, well, you guys are a little different, so take it with a grain of salt. So maybe you guys kind of have a little more time like we do to work with them, so I would say y'all can probably treat your summer a lot like we do, unless they're playing travel ball, which I know for high school coaches, I think you guys got the worst of all of the levels, just because you have travel ball you're competing with, you have moms and dads, you have pitching coaches, you have hitting coaches, you're going to have to work around a lot of different things. So my best advice to that is just do your best, and hopefully people will be nice to you, because parents are brutal sometimes. For us, the fall is about getting them in shape. So a lot of the workouts we do are endurance-based. They're meant to build that stamina, things like that. Now, I don't go in guns blazing day one when they're on campus. I'm not like, hi, freshmen, welcome to hell. We're going to do all this stuff, and you're going to die. I don't believe in that. I know some people do. I'm not a big believer in that. I think that's when injuries happen. I think, A, it scares them, and I'm a big believer in running shouldn't be a punishment. You shouldn't feel, you know, like, oh, if I mess up in the bullpen, I'm going to have to run all these sprints. That's just, it's not cool. I think it can be built in as a way to kind of develop that, like, oh, God, I have to do well. Like, pressure is good. Punishment, I'm not for that. I think sometimes you have to, but I think it's about learning your system. So maybe this is something you guys are more doing towards January as you start to practice and build. You're learning, like, okay, what are the pitch call systems? How do we communicate? What's it look like in between innings? How do I say certain things? Like maybe I'm saying get your shoulder through and someone else says open your shoulders. Whatever it is, you know how pitchers are. They're very finicky. Language is everything. I think just getting on the same page, understanding how they throw, what they throw. If you guys are calling the game, that was some of the questions yesterday, like actually getting to know your pitcher and being able to call that game and understanding what she needs. Understanding how to take timeouts. I think, you know, we all have those pitchers that cry, or they're emotional, or they're mean, or they kick dirt, or whatever it is. So I think it's figuring out what do they need in that regard. Then for me, I like to break it down. So we finished that last fall game around, typically for us, let's say, somewhere in October. So then we have from October until basically the end of November, first week in December, to go back and kind of break things down. So I don't think you're ever too old to break down a pitch, to break down what you're doing, to go back and say, maybe this goal is not really there, so let's kind of build in a new goal. I'm not a big, like, if I asked a pitcher, hey, what's your goal? And they said, I'm going to be an All-American. I'm like, that's not a goal. How are you going to get there? What are we going to work towards? How are we going to, you know, there's a lot more to that. And I'm not going to ever tell a kid, like, hey, you're not going to be an All-American, because I think that's what every little girl wants. Like Natasha Watley stood up here and told us her dream, and I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. But to me, it's like, we got to find something that's achievable, because otherwise those process goals become so lofty that you're like, well, I'm not actually doing anything, and now I'm a failure, and then they spiral, right? So we need little goals. So that's what we do. We break them down. We talk about mentality. I talked to a group of 3 little girls yesterday. There was a 9-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 12-year-old. The 9-year-old was very sassy, and they had the best questions about mentality. They're like, what do you do when the game's not going your way? And I was like, let's go, let's talk about it. So I think you have to talk to them about these things. If you're seeing something, and body language is so obvious, right? You guys all have those pictures that you're like, oh, I don't even want to watch this. It's like watching a car accident happen and you can't prevent it, but you have to watch it. That's what it's like for girls, and I think if we don't start with this little girl downstairs that's 9, if we don't start talking to her about it, then they're never going to know. And I think that our college girls are the same way. They come in, I'm like, this is not what we do. This is how we want to project ourselves. Let's talk about how to carry yourself, where should your shoulders be. Bless her heart, we have a picture right now. I've talked about her before, she's 5'4", she's tiny. And she kind of has this little, like, you guys remember Tommy Pickles from Rugrats? Rugrats, anybody? Too old, too young? I don't know. He walks like this. And she kind of has that little, like, when she gets the ball, she kind of is just, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, she's kind of just one of those people that's very small. And we had to talk to her about, okay, we want you, we know you're 5'4", and it's awesome. Like, it's phenomenal to see a picture like you be that good, so small, be that powerful, but we want you to project something that's bigger. And that's not to say you have to be big, you just have to act big. And she just turned it into this, like, she's just a bulldog, so she's fun to watch. So that's what we look for. Those are things we talk about in the fall. Again, this is our time to really spend and devote time on breaking these things down and talking about them. So this is not something we're talking about January until February. I think 8th is our first game. January to February 8th is not on our radar. If I'm talking to you about mentality or about presence, then we haven't done our job in the fall to prepare you. Because January should be all game. Like, let's go. That's about competition. That's about throwing live. That's about getting the stats in your corner to say, like, I should be the starting pitcher. It's not about, this is how you throw your curveball. Because if we're not there yet, then I have failed as a pitching coach. We talk about quality pitches a lot in the fall, so that's where I set the tone. I had a lot of questions about this yesterday. I'm not big on when you call. So if we're in a bullpen and I'm throwing curve, screw, rise, I'm not big on, like, well, that curve has to be right here, screw has to be right here, rise here. It's quality. If it's moving through the zone, it has 3 of the things that we look for is, like, spin, speed, and is it effective? Now, if you don't have a batter swinging, you don't really know if it's effective. You might think it's effective, it might get hit out. But to us, that's what we look for. So we start nailing that into their brains right away of, like, this is what this means, this is what this means, okay? And then lastly is niche. And I'm gonna go into niche a little bit later in the presentation, but to me, if you have a staff, does anyone have more than 2 pitchers on their team? Okay, so if you have more than 2, I think that's a really good time to figure out what pitcher is what. Because if you have 3 that are the exact same, you're not gonna do super well all the time, because if a team is hitting that pitcher, pitcher A, who's a great curveball, and then B, C, and D all have great curveballs, you don't have much to go off of. So, and I've had that situation. My first year at Penn State, I came in and they all kind of had the same things that they were good at. So we had to find other ways to make them successful, because if you have one pitcher that's dominating on up and in, you don't need 3 more. Because if she's getting beat, the other 3 are getting beat, especially at this level. So to me, it's like figuring out what pitcher can be what for you. Is this my pitcher who just dominates, pounds the strike zone, where we're behind and we're walking people and we need someone to just get out? Is this our girl? Who's the girl we go to when the game's on the line and we need someone to come in and get relief? If I have one pitcher, what is she going to be really good at? And when she struggles, what are we going to find that she can get out of? So we spend a lot of time on that in the fall. Again, you guys can kind of use this however your seasons stack up. But I think it's a good time to start learning, start communicating, figuring out what your pitchers do. I kind of talked through this, so I'm not going to go too far into this, but what I will say is we do talk about block practice and variable practice, and this is something you guys all can benefit from. This is something that Missy Lombardi, who was formerly at Oklahoma and now at the head coach at Oregon, talks about a lot. She's amazing. So the biggest thing, and this is, you guys are probably doing this, you just don't realize you're doing it. So there's blocks and there's variable. Blocked means you're coming into the bullpen and we're going to spend time, we're going to talk through mechanics, we're going to talk through situations. I'm feeding you as a coach what I want you to do. Maybe I'm saying it's ball and strike. It's a very controlled environment. You know what's coming, it's on a sheet of paper, maybe it's on a clipboard, maybe you're just saying it. It's very controlled. That's what you work on when you're trying to build mechanics, you're trying to build your system in, you're trying to figure out what they're good at, et cetera, okay? When we talk about variable, this is when you're talking about we're getting ready for games. So for us, variable practices are almost always really involved in January. January, you're not going to have me stand behind you and tell you what to do a lot, because I don't get to do that on the field. Good for them, bad for me, right? I wish I could stand behind them and critique everything, but I can't. And I don't think that's good for them. If they can't feel it, then they can't correct it on their own, because when they're on the mound, are you guys like yelling out at them like, get your arm inside your hip and like, that's bad. Don't do that during a meeting. We don't want to talk mechanics during a meeting. We want to talk mentality. We want to be like, hey, you're not attacking, attack. Hey, your shoulders are hunching, you look like you're not confident, let's go. You don't want to be like, all right, your arm slot is really bad and we got to work on getting the snap on the wall. That's too much during a game. During a game, it's go time, it's figure it out, it's mentality. So again, my opinion. Younger girls, I get it. Sometimes you're gonna have to talk them through it if they're doing something that's just like they're all out of whack. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, go.
Question. I have a picture that likes me to video, so if she comes in often enough, she can look at herself and see if that's what she's feeling. Is that okay, or should I keep doing that?
How old is she?
14.
I mean, internally, my body is telling me no, just because I think, are you gonna do? Typically, you wouldn't do that during a game. I think if you're really trying to work on something and it's maybe you just don't feel it, maybe that can have benefit. I would never do that at the college level, just because I think, is that realistic to what you would normally do? We also can't. You can't have iPad in the dugout, thank God, because I can't imagine what that would be like. But can I see my pitches? Like, no. I'm also not a big fan of film too much, because I think pitchers are all crazy a little bit. And we're going to take that and we're going to run and we're going to watch it over and over. And oh my God, what can I do with my hand? And we're going to get crazy. And to me, it's like, I think game time is like feel and this variable style. And I think post game, let's watch video. Let's talk through it. We can talk all day. Maybe even pregame, we can talk all day. But the game to me is like so special that I don't know if I believe that time should be for mechanics. Now, I have not coached under 18-year-olds in a while, so I don't know how we feel, because that wasn't a thing. Like, we didn't have iPads when I was coaching, or I didn't have an iPad when I was coaching the younger girls. So maybe I would consider it. I don't know right now. I guess my answer is like yes and no.
Practice okay.
Yeah, definitely. In the bullpen, I'm all for, like, I'll have my iPad, I'll show them, like, hey, this is what I'm talking about. I'm big on showing. I'm fortunate that I can still throw a little bit. But to me, like, if you, maybe you guys are more teaching from a standpoint of maybe you didn't play and you're just going off of what you know, what you see, you're kind of students of the game. So maybe you can't actually do it. That's okay. I think if you can show something, because not all of them are going to learn from you just telling them, right? If you're like, put your elbow here, they're like, okay. So maybe you're like, well, I don't know exactly what I'm saying either, but if you can get video feedback, or you can show them, like, hey, here's Jenny Finch, look at what she does. Those are things I think that are helpful. I use that all the time. I use other pitchers. I use pitchers in our conference. They hate that. I'm like, look at Michigan. But I think that's helpful. Just seeing other things is so helpful. And I mean, that's how I learned. And again, I didn't grow up with the iPad era. We had cell phones, which was really cool. I had a BlackBerry. But we didn't have that when I was playing. And I don't know what it would have been like. So I'm torn, because I don't know as a player. I just know what I know as a coach. So anyways, we talk about variable practice. I'm big on teaching pre-pitch routine. I don't believe in just like showing up and your warm-up being different every day. I hate it. I hate it so much that that's the first thing you do on day one. I'm like, hi, welcome to Penn State. How do you warm up? And it's so funny, because freshmen, they don't know how they warm up 9 times out of 10. They're like, well, I did this sometimes, then my dad had me do this one time, then my mom told me to do this, then I went to this lesson one time, but then I didn't go back, but I do this. And it's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest warm-up. It doesn't flow. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm not sure that they actually get warm. I can say I've had one freshman that came in and she knew. She came in, she was dialed in, she knew what she was doing, I didn't mess with her. But the only thing I will change, I'm not changing mechanics a lot of times. I'm not changing how they pitch or what they do, because I recruited them to play for me, so they usually fit what I want. However, I will change the warm-up, because I do think that if you're not focused in that, that is what leads you into the game. And I don't care if it is a 12 and under, pool play game on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. or if it's the World Series. I think you warm up the same no matter what it is. I don't care if it's for a scrimmage in Haluba Hall at Penn State. I don't care if it's here. I think you warm up the same way. And I think that if you watch any professional level or like elite level athletes, they do the same things. Like LeBron James does the same thing every day. He listens to the same music probably. He does all those same things, the routines. Like football players, I love watching pro football and what's the show that we watch? Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks, awesome, because it shows you, like, look, these guys make all this money. Some of them have major attitudes, whatever, but they do those little things for the most part. We watched the Browns this year. The Browns are like, gosh, the Browns. But it's so cool to see, like, it's not a lack of talent. It's not for, like you watch them on the field on Sunday and you're like, yikes. But they are getting better, and it's cool to see kind of that evolution, and when you watch the coaching behind it, because they do the little things. And to me, a routine of warm-up is everything. So let me get through the winter real quick, and then we'll kind of talk about what that means. So to me, the winter is like, please don't go home and just eat cake and food and like not do anything. That's like, it's a hard thing for us. I think in college, you deal with homesickness. You get girls that are from further away. We're lucky we don't have too many that are that far away, but I mean, it happens. Like you're in college, you miss your parents. Christmas, I think, is the first time the kids finally realize, like, I really like my parents and I really liked living at home. And I didn't know how good it was until I had to do my own laundry and I'm eating ramen every night. So to me, Christmas is really a challenging time in college. I think you have to find ways to keep them motivated and realizing like hay season is really close. Doesn't feel like it, but it is. You got to get them understanding that the fitness side of it's really important. I know in high school this is tough because sometimes they don't have the resources. I know for us it's even tough. We might not have a pitcher who has someone to catch her. So we're like, okay, well, you're going to pitch into a net, or you're going to have to find ways. So I do find that this is the most challenging, and I'm assuming you guys maybe do too, of like that off season is tough to regulate. For us, it's a situation where we can suggest things to do. I cannot mandate. I can't check in on them and say, did you do these workouts? And things like that. We hand out, I have a packet, like we hand out a packet to them, and I make it every year. It looks something like this, and this is their Christmas one from this year, and it has different workouts. It has a calendar. It has like different, things that you kind of want to accomplish. It has workouts. But I can't say, okay, now you're going to turn this in and you're getting graded on it or whatever it is. Like I can't do that. This is a suggestion. Like, hi, I spend a lot of time on these. If you want to use it as a coaster, feel free. And I have to be okay with that because that's how the NCAA works. Like I cannot just be like, this is what you do. Unfortunate, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They want to win. That's fine. I get it though, in high school level and maybe some of those like travel ball teams, you can't really do things like this because they're going to be like, my pitching coach said, no. So that's tough to navigate, and again, that's where that's why I'm here and not there, because that would be not for me. So winter is talking about being able to compete day one when they come back. So for us, we start January 7th this year. I expect January 7th, they're ready to go. And if they're not, you will stand out because everyone else will be ready to go. And that's why college is fun, because you will stand out. This is just about this. Like I do like to give them something interactive, but I don't collect it. So it's kind of, it seems silly, but it is what it is. Like they're like, oh, I did this. And I'm like, great, thanks for doing that. All right, keep it for yourself. And they're like, okay. But they like that. I give them books to read. Last year they all got a different book. I picked them based on kind of the personalities, and we kind of just shared over Christmas what we liked. It was not mandatory. But if they found something that they liked, they would highlight it and send it to the group. And we all use like GroupMe or anything. You guys probably all have the same. Just to kind of see. Sometimes they would text each other, so I didn't even put this into play. They have their own group, and they would text like, "Hey, it's Maddie. I just did this workout and I got this." So beat that, and they would compete with each other, which I thought was amazing. And they told me afterwards, and I'm like, "Well, that's great. Like these are great things." So those are things you guys can do if you're allowed to mandate them. Why not? Like, hey, why don't you guys make a group and then send each other different things? The first year I was here, there's 3 pitchers that went on vacation. They went to the beach over Christmas break, and they would send pictures like, hey, I'm pitching on the beach. Hey, I'm doing this, and it was just kind of cool. It's a cool way to get them to kind of bond. And if you see someone doing something, you're gonna do it, right? Like someone else doing it, you're like, oh, I should put this donut down and like go pitch. So I really like that. Moving into the spring, so obviously this is our main time. So let's talk about this like this is the same. So whether it's March, I don't know when the rest of you guys start, so maybe it's your summer. But this is like the bread and butter. This one you gotta be on your game, because this is, to me, like all the stuff you do in the fall or in that time period that's before, if you didn't do it right, then you're gonna start to see it here. And that's not to say you have to be perfect. I've made plenty of mistakes, trust me. Each time I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm 22, I have no idea. I'm just hoping for the best. But to me, spring is about maintenance. Okay, so I'm not throwing anything at them in the spring that's like new and crazy, or like a new endurance workout that I talked about. I'm not doing that. This is all things they've done. They know what they're doing. Hey, we're doing 3 in a row today. You're gonna do 5 sets, and then you're throwing live. Or hey, we're gonna put you on the bike. We're gonna tire your legs out, then you're gonna go, and we're gonna emulate that Sunday morning game, mid-season. I like to keep it very competitive, because it is. We talk about it. It's a little more cutthroat in college, definitely. I know I was talking to some high school and travel ball coaches last night that said, you know, we still have to kind of play everyone. We're trying to get everyone innings. That's not the case for me. So I don't have to worry about that, and I know that's a big thing at your level. So to me, I'm going for competition because I want them to see, because I think girls have a really hard time seeing where they are sometimes, in my experience. Boys are like, yeah, he's cool, he's good, he's really good, he should play. But girls, they struggle with that. They want their friend to play because she's their friend, not because she's better than Susie. And that's at all levels. My 12-year-olds are the same, well, she's not that good. I'm like, oh, stats say differently. So to me, it's about putting that in them, like making them understand that. Like, here's the competition, here's the stats. I love to keep stats, and I'm not just an ERA person or you had this many strikeouts. I love looking at how successful are you in full counts. Like, how good are you with walks? Like, walk ratio to me is, I hate walks. So that's a big thing. How are you ball strike ratio? How are you pounding the zone? Are you getting behind a lot? Like, you might be getting behind a lot and getting out of it, but eventually that catches up to you. So we look at that, we talk about strengths and weaknesses, trying to keep them composed. There's going to be a weekend where they're just really bad. Or maybe, hey, I'm starting weekend 1, and by weekend 3, I'm not even in the mix. So to me, it's about communication all the time. I learned early in my career that that's what these girls really, really want and need. They can take it, but you have to communicate it to them. And I think that's across the board. Like, little girls, big girls, doesn't matter. I'm all about being healthy. I can't stress that enough. Less is more. We give them sleep anytime we can. So when we travel, it's a little different, but it might be the same. We might get there to our hotel at 2 a.m. and have to be up at 8. And typically in college, we'll do all kinds of great stuff. We'll get them up, we'll stretch them, we'll do different things when we have the time just to kind of recover them. But we always go sleep first. Sleep and food, that's everything. So those are things that we look at. I won't go into my spiel about nutrition. I just don't feed them crap all the time. You know, Red Bull before a game, don't do that. They're not that tired. Confidence is key, keeping the confidence. Like, how many times have you guys had a pitcher who goes out, she absolutely sucks, and it's like the world is ending, and there's no coming back. To me, it's about finding ways, and this is where I love video. I will dig through video and find them doing amazing things, and sometimes it's really hard. Okay. I will find things to show them, like, look how good you are. Look at this, look at this, look at this. We're fortunate we have video on every game of every pitch, so I can very easily put that together. But to me, it's like you have to find a way, especially for females, to continue to build that confidence. Because that age group, especially you, I mean, my age group too, but you guys especially, they're changing a lot. And they are all over the map, right? And their emotions are crazy, and they're dealing with all kinds of stuff. Middle school is the worst time of anyone's life. I would never go back there. But to me, it's like you have to manage that, because these are young women, and we do want to empower them to feel like, okay, like I got this, even if you have a bad game. Managing recovery, I talked about that. Water is everything. I know they don't drink water sometimes, so. So for me, my biggest thing is I always go back to WIN. It means what's important now. I think this applies to everything in life. Like, when you start freaking out, and like, did I do all these things, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what's important now? Like, what do I need to do right now? I think our girls are especially pressured. They're in college, they have to get good grades, they're worried about this, like, there's so many things being thrown at them. So for us, it's about keeping them on the focus of like, hey, it's Monday, it's your off day, your focus, and what's important now is your grades. So get your butt to class, go study, do your study hall, get ahead of the week. Those are the things we talk about. Versus on Thursday, I don't want to hear about your math class. I really don't. Like, I'm happy for you, I hope you pass it, but this is game time. This is what you're here for, this is what you live for. It's keeping them understanding the game, like teaching. They're never too old to learn, just like all of us in this room, we're never too old to learn. They don't know what they don't know. So you can't assume they know, hey, that's Sierra Romero, she has 400 home runs on the season. They might not know. You can't assume. So to me, like, talking to them about the game, like, hey, do you know why it's bad to walk the leadoff runner? Do you know the stats behind how many times they score? Do you know X, Y, Z? I think finding things to teach them, especially when they're young, is just huge, because they get to us and they might not know those things, and they should. Like, you guys, we should be educating them. They pitch, not you, so take your feelings out of it. It's really a lot easier said than done, because you put so much time and energy in, but it's them. It's about them. It's not about you. And if the game is lost, it's the coach's fault. If it's won, it's because the players are good, and you need to remember that, because that is the hardest pill to swallow. Like, it does not